right, ladies and gentlemen, it is safe to say that Wuthering Waves has some pretty exciting stuff coming up. And of course, it's going to be patch 2.3. And there's a lot coming in patch 2.3, right? We've got exciting, very exciting and well-anticipated characters like Zani, who's going to be our Spectral Gauntlet, hopefully, maybe, damage dealer, that sort of type of character. We've also got Kachona as well, the arrow pistol-wielding character who looks, I mean, as we all know from music, and the role that music players typically have in gacha games, a bit of a supportive-looking unit. And of course, those amazing splash notes that are on the side. We've got those new units coming out. And then, of course, the actual anniversary. And it's safe to say that Kuro has prepared a lot of materials, a lot of teasers, and there's a lot to look forward to. And so what I wanted to do is actually check out this video, compare it to some of the prior videos that Kuro's put out, and maybe talk a little bit more about what we might be expecting from the anniversary actually in game. So with that, let's just go ahead and take a look at the Second Coming of Solaris beta test. Very interesting title. The first anniversary trailer reveal. Let's check it out. All right, so right off the rip, we're seeing over here all of these cubic-looking units. We've got, I believe that's Chang Li, we got Brant, we got Cantarella, Zani, Phoebe, and of course, Jinsei. Really interesting lineup over here. I'm wondering how many of these we're going to see throughout the trailer. Because, as you're all probably familiar, right, Wuthering Waves on April 1st, not even 12 days ago, was putting out some pretty similar content. You know, that was like really joke-oriented. They redid basically the entire like 1.0 trailer with these different looking models. And then we ended it, right, with a rather cubic looking form of Abby. That's just something that, you know, we have to like keep in mind. It looks like maybe this wasn't a joke after all, and this is the sort of stuff we might actually be seeing in game. Yeah, no wasted assets over here. Great job, Kuro Games. No wasted assets at all.
Even in simulated bodies, their minds and fortes remain powerful as ever.
Simulated bodies.
Introducing your favorite resonators. First up is the Jinjo Magistrate Jinshi in cube form. Next, Cube Shorekeeper is making her entrance. And the future...
Why is Shorekeeper like hidden under a box? Is she like shy? Is she like scared of the spotlight? What's going on here? Why is she the only one doing this? Isn't she shy? We definitely got like a couple of those vibes, but she's still, you know, I didn't imagine this.
And the future of the Montelli cubes. Cube Carlotta.
Oh, amazing.
Look at Cube Carter Thea. Wait, she seems pretty busy and isn't even looking at the camera. And here they go.
I think one thing that I really like about this trailer is the voice. The voice that they're using. I think I remember this. I'm not sure if this is like the pizza girl, Margarita, or we've heard this before. It's Encore's VA. Oh, she's got some range for sure. Yeah, no, this doesn't sound like Encore, but I guess this is her VA. And the thing is, she's done these ads before. She's done these ad reads before in the 2.0 trailer that we had, or the 2.0 live stream that we had. You remember all of those like different ads from Raguna and like, you know, all of the different like echoes, like the tub pup, the pizza place. They all had like ads that she was like reading out before. So they're really like carrying forward the vibe over here. Yeah, no, she's good for this stuff. All right, we got Peeb, we got Brant. Got Zani.
Bug alert! Evil Bowser is making its move.
Oh, there we go. Yep, they're back. Yep, that's the same photo. A Bowser. I guess a Bowser is the new name.
Will the Justice Cubes be able to take down the Evil Cube? Stay tuned to find out. Thank you, Blackshore's consultant Encore, for her creative contribution.
Thank you, Blackshore's consultant Encore, for the creative contribution. Wait, so does this actually mean that this is like confirmed? Is this like canon? Is there going to be an event where we're actually going to like see this, and then like I guess all the characters involved are like it's like a real thing that's happening in the story? I thought that this was just going to be like a huge joke. I wasn't actually like, I thought it was just gonna be like a huge joke, not like actually something that the characters are gonna recognize and I guess reference moving forward. That's nuts. Oh my, that's actually nuts.
First anniversary of the beta for the Pioneer Association's Second Coming of Solaris is almost here. Watch our live stream on April 19th for more info.
Well, April 19th. ladies and gentlemen. That's only in about 5 or 4 days, depending on when you watch this video. But I'm gonna be real here. It's looking pretty damn good. We see over here we got the 2 rovers, we got Peeb, we got Zani. She's taking a nap. I guess she looks like angry while she's taking a nap. We got Kartathea, who's just getting like, I don't know, exhausted. Carlotta, Jinsey, Calcara just in the corner by himself. Camellia, who's just like on top of a rock, looking excited about something. Cantarella, Chang Li. Ooh, looks like they do know each other. Shorekeeper over here, who's still hidden. Rosia, Brant, a Bowser, and a Kurobot. Clearly, there are a lot of characters that we have missing. I'm a little bit disappointed we're missing some units, like maybe like a Zhang Li Yao, maybe a Jian. But I guess Kuro did in fact listen by bringing this dude in the corner, just eating by himself, making sure that players know that he is not, in fact, forgotten, despite the fact that he's never actually appeared in the story. Maybe this is the first time he's gonna show up in the story. Ooh, that looks like a 7. But I guess this is the first anniversary. Very, very nice stuff. Now that we've taken a look at that, maybe we'll look at a comment or two. We're about to jump inside Smolaris 3. Actually, that's actually a W comment. W comment from our resident Glizzy Rider Echo. Let's talk a little bit more about what we might expect from the anniversary. Like I mentioned before, there are going to be some clearly newer units that are going to be coming out. A lot of people are speculating that, oh, maybe some of these units are in fact going to be free, but if they're not, I wouldn't be too surprised. Maybe we'll have some free unit selectors, something of that kind. Typically because Kuro's known for being a bit more of like a generous developer when it comes to celebrating their anniversaries. They have a pretty rich past, especially in games like PGR, of giving out units for free. And even in Wuthering Waves, right? We all know what they did in WuWa when it comes to giving out a free 5-star unit. They've given out a limited one. And I know a lot of people benefited very heavily from getting their free Zhang Liao back in 1.2. Who knows if Kuro's going to be that generous again moving forward? And maybe, right, drop either of these two for us. A lot of people are speculating that Kachona might be one of the arrow erosion appliers or arrow erosion enablers. And when Arrow Rover's been given out to every single player for free, just from being like, a rover, obviously, and there's no one in the game that they really work with in the present, it would make a lot of sense for Kachona to be like another freebie that's thrown in with them to make Arrow Rover actually usable. Because let's be honest here, there's currently like no real way other than to just grief your team building and grief your composition to actually activate this Gust of Welkin set. And so when you have the Gust of Welkin Echo giving a specific bonus to Arrow Rover, just giving them like 10% additional arrow damage bonus for 20% total, and there's no way to actually use this in the current state of the game, that's why a lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe she's going to be free. We don't know, though. We'll just have to wait for final news and, of course, the live stream to get the confirmation on that. But that's just something to keep in mind, right? Because, it would be, in a sense, kind of like, I'm just going to be honest here, kind of like a dick move to have like all of this arrow erosion enabled in their kit, but you can't actually access or use any of this unless you pull a limited 5-star character. And that's kind of the state of the game right now. You cannot even use this effect over here that increases arrow erosion stacks. You cannot even use this effect over here that converts stacks of other debuffs to arrow erosion without a 5-star limited unit on your team. That's kind of just it. It's the truth. And unfortunately, it does kind of suck because this character is really cool. They have some really, really cool abilities, but you're not able to use them at all. And it does, kind of bleed into the whole, sort of predatory HSR, all of that stuff. We're all familiar with it by now, and it doesn't feel too great. Aside from that, what we might also expect from the anniversary are a couple of other things. And of course, most of those things are going to be based off of the shopping cart over here, the store. And so a lot of people, right, are speculating as well that when it comes to their Astrite, or basically their first time top-up bonuses that you're going to be seeing over here, these bonuses will probably be reset. We see it in pretty much every single gacha game. You have like the whole $100 package, the 50, 30, all of these, and you basically get the same amount on your first time purchase. Instead of getting a bonus of 110, I would get get a bonus of 980. And instead of a bonus of 1600 over here, I would get 6480. And so a lot of people are guessing that this bonus is going to reset because that's basically what happens every single year in a gacha game. Not necessarily every single version, but every single year in a gacha game. We've seen it in Genshin. We've seen it in Star Rail. We're probably 1,000,000% going to see it in ZZZ for 2.0. And with WuWa not refreshing any of these top-up bonuses with the launch of 2.0, because, well, 2.0 launched relatively quickly right after version 1.4 in November, a lot of people are speculating that this is going to be reset too. Some people are also thinking, right, accompanying this top-up reset, we might have something similar to HSR, which has had, of course, the widely talked about and in a lot of ways widely critiqued spending event. And I'm going to be real over here, right? If Wuthering Waves does have a spending event, it would be a little bit pointed. It would be something that a lot of people could critique. But let's also think about what exactly HSR even has in this spending event. Let's just take a look really quickly over here, right? They've got some basic mats, but then they also have all of this like super predatory min-maxing materials over here, and a bunch of these are new mats that they only introduced with the anniversary. It really depends on the rewards that are being put in. Think about like this golden ball over here that lets you get a 5-star unit introduced in version 3.2. Think about these blue prisms that get you a free light cone, also introduced new in version 3.2. And then they have all of these like relic re-rollers, all of these substat choosers. That's all new stuff that was released in 3.2. And so when you look at this spending event and when you see the motivation for this spending event, this is all based off of like super whaley, super predatory, min-maxing mats that have not been in the game prior to version 3.0. And when we look at what's in WuWa right now, and when we look at what's in the store and what you can actually buy, well, I'm going to be real here, guys, right? It's not even like there's not really that much stuff. And so maybe, right, Kuro comes out with things like substat selectors or like substat rollers, and then, makes like a super crazy spending event where, that's like the only way to get them. And then they have like a $100 thing in the store with all of those materials. Maybe, right? Maybe that's something that they're going to have. But if WuWa doesn't go down that route and still has a spending event where they don't have all those re-rollers, they don't have all these like super predatory things in the store, and then they still have a spending event, I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. When you look at what HSR has, so much of this is just like new incentives that they've recently released in the past 2 updates, and then they're really, really, really heavily monetizing them. And so even if WuWa does have a spending event, that's why I think it can't even be on the same level as HSR, because they've been like ramping up to this so quickly for version 3.0 to 3.2 and have been really, really looking to get and extract as much money as possible from their players. And when it also comes to just WuWa as a whole and its monetization, guys, let's be real here. Even if there is a spending event, that's not going to take away things like the pity being 80 versus 90 in Hoyo games. That's not going to take away from things like the weapon banner being guaranteed. The spending event in HSR has a completely different framing when you factor in just how much more predatory the game is, where you feel the need, right, in HSR to pull the newest limited character every single patch, otherwise you can't complete the end game. And WuWa just released Cantarella, who is, let's be honest here, one of the most unnecessary units in the game. One of the most unnecessary units in the game. If you don't have her, nothing changes for you in terms of your ability to like complete the end game, complete the content, actually have fun in the game. While in HSR, they're doing shit like having a spending event and then the most rampant power creep that the gacha industry has ever seen. And so that's all the additional framing that you have to keep in mind, because holy shit, having just the spending event, if the 1.0 characters were still viable, characters like Blade, characters like Jing Liu, if they were still viable and there was a spending event, I'm 100% certain people wouldn't have made as big of a deal about it. But when you're combining a spending event with the most ridiculous incentives to pull a character with these absurd power levels, that just is like the cherry on top. And so let's be real here. I don't think it's that big of a deal if WuWa has one. You're perfectly fine to think otherwise, but it's just the framing of these games is entirely different. The meta of these games is entirely different. And it's just, we've got to think about what these devs are also doing as well when it comes to actually improving the game, actually putting in quality of life, and actually having meaningful and fun content to do on the anniversary. Because this looks like it's going to be a nice side quest, a nice little main event for the patch. And guess what the main event is in Honkai Star Rail for 3.2? It's their 8-hour-long dog shit 3.2 story, the spending event, and then some other one-off trash events that take, that are not engaging at all. And that's kind of like the difference between the two games. One of the reasons why I'm mentioning a spending event so much is because Kuro's actually done one in PGR pretty much every single year it's released. And honestly, they do it maybe too much in PGR. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they decided to implement that in WuWa. And so with that, maybe WuWa is going to have some new things in the battle pass as well. Maybe they're going to be introducing a lot more quality of life to the game too. We're just going to have to see and take in everything that's going on. The existence of a spending event alone isn't something that just makes a game worse, but when you have a spending event on top of all these other super predatory things that HSR is doing, that's what makes a spending event super, super, super bad. Let me know what you all think. I'm looking forward to the anniversary. I think it's going to be a great one, and peace out.